let's go back to that technology because I found it super interesting. So you started in emergency management in 2009,
Yes, sir.
and obviously you weren't the chief of emergency management then. What did you start off doing back then?
Back then, I was actually an intern with Seminole County, and I got a great opportunity to see into this field. And what we saw is very different than what it looks like right now. With internet progressing, with software, with smartphones, because believe it or not, back in 2009, iPhone was only a year old. And so we were all still using like tapping texting. So we've seen big changes in how this field even works because it's amplified our ability to communicate. It's amplified our ability to share information. It's provided new opportunities to collaborate even closer.
Mm.
And I think when we were talking before the show started, one of the things that we said is damage assessment is a key part of understanding what happened in our communities. So after the storm comes through, after we're impacted, we need to know what does it actually look out? What does it actually look like out there? What are the conditions that we're facing? How bad was the city affected? And back in the day, we'd have people get into cars, they'd drive around. We called them windshield assessments back then. And they'd have like a notepad with like paper directions on I turn here, I turn here, I turn here to know what their routes are, to know where they need to drive. And they'd have little sheets of paper they'd fill out to say the conditions on each of these houses that they came across. And that was what we were working with back then. And now, as we're looking here in 2024, we just this past year within the city of Tampa rolled out this software called Crisis Track. And Crisis Track allows us to do way more than just paper forms and just the words of people staying out there saying they completed those routes, because that's something you want to assume the best, but also when you send people to go out to do these monotonous tasks driving around, and you kind of take it on their word that these are the things that they did. So what Crisis Track allows us to do is everybody has an app installed on their phone, which is designed for collecting data. That's what that Crisis Track app is. And so they open up the app, they can scroll through the tasks. So we've created all these assignments, assigned routes to each of these roles so they know where they need to go and what they need to take pictures of. So they'll click their task and it'll start to track their location with their GPS. And so they can see on their phone the route they need to go on the map, and they drive along, and back at our headquarters, we can see in real time the little dot that flashes for them as they go about performing their routes. And as they go about driving their routes, they'll come across buildings, or they'll come across damaged buildings or fallen trees or blocked roadways, hazards that we need to address. And they can, utilizing the app, take pictures of all the things. So not only do we see where they're going, how they're making their progress, there'll be little pins along their route for where all the incidents they came across were. And you can click on those pins and it'll have a description. Well, this is a fallen tree, and it'll actually have the pictures on there as well. So you can see in real time where they're going, what they're doing, what they're seeing. And a cool thing that was spur of the moment innovation that we saw following Milton was some of the drivers actually made Twitch accounts. I don't know. Are you familiar with Twitch?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, it's basically streaming platform. And they created Twitch accounts and basically gave one person their cell phone the whole entire time. They held it out and streamed in real time video feed of where they were going, what they're doing. So not only did we have the Crisis Track following the routes and getting the data collected, but we could see the what they were doing as well. And so they were calling into the radios, into the EOC, to like say, hey, hop on Twitch if you want to see what we're doing. And we could talk to them in real time. And like it was crazy. I would tell the infrastructure branch director, Eddie Drovey, like, Eddie, tell them to turn left. Like, I know it's not their route, but we just want to see what's down that road. And so they could radio in real time and talk to them, and we could see them changing their routes and going about and collecting data. So it was one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I'm sure, I mean, you started in 2009 and you're still doing it. I'm sure all technology, including social media, right? The iPhone, the camera, the ability even to text, like, hey, we got a downed tree at this intersection, whatever it is. all that data, is that how we see, oh, Milton caused 100 billion in damage? Does it compile the data, or does it essentially just track it for you guys? Like, how deep does this software go?
Yes. I mean, it does big data, and data is as useful as you want to take advantage of it. It is how we calculate our private damage assessment process. So understanding how people were impacted as not public property, not like government buildings, but for residential damages. That is how we estimate the impacts to them, because there's an algorithm that Crisis Track does based upon whether you list it as minor, major, affected, or destroyed.
Yeah, I've always wondered, you see the news article come out about 150 billion in damage. So it stems from all that data.
This past year, it's stemmed from Crisis Track.
This past year.
Yes.
Let's talk about that too. Why didn't we have that technology 10 years ago? It doesn't sound that crazy. Did it not exist? Was it not in the city's budget? Like, why now? Thank God now. Sounds like it was very good timing for us. But why not have it in previous years?
I don't remember seeing Crisis Track until like 2019. That was like the first time I remember seeing it being a thing. And anytime there's new technology, there's like times of adoption, and we need to start to see people actually use it, get feedback on it. And it took time for people to recognize and see that this is a valid platform. And I think one of the big things that was hard for adoption is that it's difficult to train people on the usage of this software, because I made it sound really simple in how I just presented it, but there's an app that people have to download onto their phones. They have to understand how to use that app as they go about driving their routes, the different forms they complete as they identify those structures. And then on the back end, there's a whole entire web-based component as well for the administrators that utilize this software that is completely separate from what the people out in the field are doing. So I think a lot of the things that prevented or may have slowed the adoption was just the newness of the technology and being able to wrap our brains around how do we use this the most effective way.
Hey guys, if you want to watch the full episode of this clip, click right here. Make sure to subscribe by clicking right here. Thank you for watching.